I'm back.
Well, welcome back. We won't be having Jacob. Jacob let everyone know that he would not be able to make it this week. And it has been a day after a day after a day. I'm thankful that you all are here. Thankful that we all get the opportunity of stepping away from the real world for a few moments. And there's no other way to say it, no matter how inadequate it is, but thank you. Thank you. And thank you. This, without a shadow of a doubt, is SoupCity Rushed Souls. Tonight's episode entitled Allies, Trial Shaped Cluster. Several things have happened for the coterie, but before we dive in, we'll both be hanging on for dear life. Anand, dear, would you like to encapsulate what has brought us to now? Okay, so we're experiencing some technical difficulties. That leaves you, dear. We can hear you typing.
Sorry about that. I don't know if I was typing.
No, it just sounded like it for a second.
Okay, sorry about that.
All right.
What got us to this point was we had gone to the hotel, and at the hotel we ran into somebody unexpected. I don't know. Are we counting that he was there so that he would know who it was, or are we not telling him who it
was? I'm not sure he understands who that was. But Dr. Fredrick believes it was just the former regent, which means that he was not, in fact, there. So you get the opportunity of having a conversation about that later if you like.
No, I'm talking about at the hotel.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised that he is still alive. Last details I heard about him was him making some sort of grand gesture of some sort of personal sacrifice, but seeing him alive has kind of contradicted that.
Okay, so then we went back and we met up with Clone Rose and did the warding for the Chantry. There was a grand speech. He announced me somewhat as acting regent of said Chantry. We did our best to rectify what we could for wardings for the night. So there is at least 2 dots of security basically on the Chantry House. The basic wardings for most of the Chantry House are done. We'll need to, I guess, add to and maintain them as time goes on. In the course of that, after they left, some of them have decided to move back here to Gary, but that will take time. At current, it's just the 6 of us. And in that, Otto has decided that he wanted us all to go to Salacious because he's addicted. That's all there is to it. We had some other things come up that we needed to talk about, but Salacious was calling, so we went. And when we got there, my sister was there, my twin. And she was telling me about her plans for the future. And then all kind of hell broke loose because of some of the persons she brought with her to celebrate whatever it was they were celebrating. And me, Otto, and Jacob decided to cut the fuck out so that we didn't get caught up in it. And we went back to the Chantry House. I think that's pretty much where we left it. We were discussing what to do now that we had this information that we had gotten. That sound about right?
Indeed. And then some. So, as we prepare to dive into this midnight world, this forever dark, this brightly glittering throng of unending void that is the life and times of the undead denizens of Gary. In short, encapsulated over the last several score of nights, what has Dr. Fredrick been up to? Considering that we understand that Otto has been sinking tenterhook into the fabric of the society in and around Salacious, because there are echelons and tiers in its own niche society. Tomato, secretive as ever, has been doing what is best for Tomato, that so far has not contravened nor stirred nor caused any harm to the idea or the fact of the pantry. And Marie has been busily tending the clinic and doing her abject best to be invisible.
Well, for the previous 2 nights, when uncalled on by my peers, I am maintaining my tutoring business. A few of my more favorite students, clients, have had the need to leave with a sugar cookie and a juice box every now and again. Keep those sugar levels up. And I was following through with one of the individuals that Otto had introduced us to. Started the CH3 ferry. Very into soap.
So you were killing a human, a mortal, a living denizen of the community, and turning them into soap?
No. No, I do not believe that's what I was saying. I said, well, I think I should try to reword that. I would like to have spent some of that time checking if, what's your name, Charmaine?
The young lady that you were introduced to.
Yes. Seeing if there is actually anything there to foster for the sake of the chantry.
Okay. Clinically, socially, or psychologically?
Now, psychologically, I understand that some substance dependency can be exploited if we ever want to make her, do stuff, but that could also be a problem if we want her to be loyal. So I want to see if there is actually any real intelligence there, or if she was just a girl playing with soap.
So that being the case, would you be so kind as to go ahead and give me a quick roll of wits plus leadership, as high as you possibly can, to account for the last several whiles. And while that roll is happening, Anand, as per usual, and this is the problem with more than one individual in one place that is not equally yoked to the task at hand. The conversations wind and wind and roll and dip and dive, and yet still never quite cross the threshold of the finish line to get you all an actionable plan. Put it plainly, they are whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. After you. Whatever you wish. Not quite what you're hoping for. Because whatever you wish has nothing to do with anyone else. Not in truth. Choosing a path for yourself has always been easy. Whatever will get you through the night and assure that you have the best fighting chance for the next day. For all of your connections as they faded and grown, dipped, and otherwise twisted through the winds of their lives and your unlife, your most precious is a group of up close street magicians. Many people would think that Gary is free of such tourist traps. However, Gary has a long history of magicians. Just like there's a winding path that the carnivals of America take from east to west, north to south, and back east across the southern border, there are certain epicenters of magicians, not quite as vaunted as Hogwarts or any of the other fabled and storied schools of magic. Nothing so fantastical, but there are centers where there are a gathering of like-minded individuals pursuing a craft. Gary is and always has been one of those centers of magic. It's the Rubicon for actual interest in magic. It's not as notable nor well known as the spaces on the West Coast. It's not as rough and tumble, and everyone has had at least several black eyes practicing the trade as it is on the West Coast. But Gary is an epicenter of magical theory and practice. Street magicians, what many would consider carnies. But it is and always has been a place where the trade is practiced right out there on the very hoary edge, where the branches are thin enough that a whisper might break them. Because it's great and wonderful being able to exist in a place that is always filled with sunshine and easy money from the tourists, but making it and understanding the actual craft, understanding the underpinnings of the art, because it is a performance in every step along the way, from the engineering aspect of the trick and the turn to alluring those would-be potential believers and naysayers with cold reading. And one of the things you've learned from them, unlike all of the pop psychological ramblings about what magic is and what magic does and how to debunk the magic of others, unlike those schools of thought, Gary is all very much about the magician never lies. The magician, the true master of ceremonies, never actually deludes, deceives the audience. The magician, the true master of the art, makes it so the audience, the viewer, the passerby, deceives themselves. And for that to happen, the magician must always see clearly. The magician must always be honest, forthright, and willing to do whatever it takes. It's a hard thing to do in any day, in any age, but especially in this one. So linked and connected electronically, so constantly surveilled, and usually by choice and by want, craving that attention. It is so very hard to allow the audience room to deceive themselves. It is so very hard to see clearly enough to understand the whole of a thing. And it is even harder finding that thread of unbridled, unvarnished, unbiased honesty. And yet being able to do so, being able to seek it out, has saved Anand immeasurably over the course of their existence. So as Dr. Fredrick Lee Parker arrives to the chantry, excited with the fact that he's found a diamond in the very rough, a springy, elastic mind, scrabbling in the dark for every shred, crumb, particle of light. That questing understanding that you only know nothing. And yet that there is an underpinning to all things. There is always truth out there to be found. There's always a way to light the dark. And that curiosity, that willingness, well, Dr. Fredrick, how often have you had your toes curled intellectually?
Whenever I'm learning something new, something that clicks with something I've already learned before, things that make the mind jump to new puzzles, new conclusions, new connections.
Oh, every Tuesday, every Friday, twice on Sundays? How often?
Oh, lately it's been about twice a month.
So
You need to keep a sense of awe or else things get dull.
So Anand, as Dr. Fredrick arrives, the conversation from the previous night still not quite settled. The plan for moving forward, percolating and dancing around the edges of your mind. What, if anything, are we discussing?
I wanted to do that first before I do anything else because I forgot earlier. Okay, so as he kind of comes in, well, long time no see. Feel anything different coming in?
Feel anything different?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just delighted that it won't be a fruitless endeavor to find people.
That's interesting. So we still have the issue of people on campus being checked into Marie's clinic for anemia and other possibly kindred related issues. Tamana seems to think that it's just because college students are idiots and don't feed themselves well. I am worried that we still have somebody poaching. But that's neither here nor there. We will need to figure that out one way or the other. I'm excited to hear that you have somebody that you think should join us. We could always use new blood. Both Pud and
I wouldn't be too enthusiastic. It would be a bit of a slow burn for the one I have in mind.
Everybody's got to start.
A lot of clay that needs to be formed.
Again, everybody's got to start somewhere, and we can always use a go fetch it sort of person. There is also a scheme afoot in Joliet, and it might backlash and affect us here, possibly. Not
to what scale?
Unfortunately, my dear sister has her eye on leadership, and she is stirring the pots in Joliet currently to get the current leadership deposed and or put her foot in and take over. Because the current leadership of Joliet, run by the anarchs, is having to bend the knee or go to all-out war against Chicago directly. So, again, we are not in the line
What
of
would be the
fire.
harm in your sister being in power, though? If anything, it would be
She wants to do it.
Camarilla, or at least a sympathetic ear to us, right?
She wants to do it as an anarch. That's the thing, not a Cam. She's disillusioned with us as Cam at current, and even wants me to possibly be co-leader with her. And I told her I wasn't up for that, but she thinks I'll change my mind at some point once I see how fruitless the idea of rebuilding the chantry is. Or that I will do all this work and then somebody stronger than me will come in and take it all, leaving me in the dust. Which, again, she may not be wrong, but I am being optimistic that I can do this and hold on to my position for whatever that is worth. And while, yes, it would be nice that she's a sympathetic ear, sort of, I don't know how sympathetic that ear would be if we were in direct opposition of each other, which happens more often than you actually would think.
Well, if we get a long enough conversation with her, perhaps we could sway her to more my way of looking at this Camarilla anarch business, at least when it pertains to us, Tremere. I think that is what your sister really needs to look more into, or focus more on, that we're all Tremere.
I did remind her that we are all part of the same clan and family. And that is the only reason she isn't throwing a monkey wrench into what I have planned. Also, Otto's a little sketchy about the whole Zimri thing. He seems to like them somewhat and think that they are wonderful and miraculous and wants them to be talked over to our way of thinking, which is not going to fucking happen. I already figured that one out.
The Zimri, you said?
Exactly. That one. The one we need to get away from the prince. He wants us to talk her into becoming a... What did he say it was? Supporter slash designee of the chantry. Which, again, I don't think is going to happen ever. So, we need to get, not maybe rid of her, but definitely drive a wedge between her and the prince.
Well, we could always try to appeal higher up in the pyramid, but what's on the docket tonight, Anand?
Well, I was working on finding a patsy.
A patsy?
Yes, somebody to work their way closer to Zimri and start stirring the pot there that can't be tracked back to us. There were several thoughts: attack her food source, financials, hunting ground, those sort of things, so that she loses her footing with the prince and gets either frustrated or spends so much time trying to fix that. We can work our way between. But again, it can't be tracked back to us, which is the biggest problem. Which is why I said patsy.
Our goal being to discredit her, or allow her, or make her unable to carry through with her plans with the prince.
Exactly. If we can either make her lose her shit and embarrass him, or look bad to him and become more of a problem than a help, then we can slide our person in / Rita, who wants to get her foot into that in the whole first place. And then we've done our side of the bargain, and they
Well, to make things easier, we would have to try to arrange things for our person to seem like the hero in this situation to slide in at the most ease, would we not?
That's necessarily Rita's problem. We just supposed to get rid of Zimri, or move Zimri out of the way so that they can step in. She said how we do that is on us. Then she will step in her own way. We're not supposed to put her in position. She is going to take that position once we make way for her, which is
So let's
what we're focused on.
just... We could do the more brash thing and just compromise how she is feeding herself. And if she tries to go elsewhere to gain sustenance, that could cause some debts.
I think that's a fair suggestion, and multi-pronged attack would probably be good. So, however you think we should... Actually, you're good with technology, aren't you?
No, my dear.
I could have sworn one of us was. I'm okay. I'm not great.
I understand how to use a computer, but I don't know how they work. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, I'll work on that side of things. And maybe we can find some... Actually, you know a lot of students. Students are wonderful with fucking technology. Maybe something we can do something with that. On your little pets, perhaps?
What do you need them to do?
Financials. Maybe we can... I know she's a vampire, kindred, like us, but there has to be somewhere she gets her money from or sustains herself, correct?
Well, there's a lot of hints with that. What's the lifestyle seeming to be with her?
She dresses as a nun. A sexy nun, but a nun. She wears jewelry and fancy clothes underneath the habit. She's very secretive about a lot of things. Not too much for showing
Possibly that could be related to how she makes her money, or she's getting it through retainers.
There we go. That's something we can look into before we drag the human
Very well.
in. So let's look into how she might be getting her money, how she supports herself, what her feeding situation might be, so that we can fuck with that. And
but once we figure that out, how would you want to fuck with it? Restrain or taint?
there's a way to make her preferred prey more scarce. Maybe chase them from the area. If they're college students like we have, lure them away with parties, that kind of thing. Like, make it so that she has no access to them anymore, or it's hard for her to find access to them.
Very well. I am at your service, Anand.
So a lot of things are up in the air. A lot of things are in consideration. Your primary path to understanding or getting close to Zimri, of course, had been Otto. With him being AOL, AWOL to be exact,
A whole lot of luck.
and without leave, how would you all attempt finding a way and a path of approach?
Hmm. Well, let's look at what the bare minimum we do have. I think it might be bump kits. Oh my goodness.
No, Otto was upset about everything that was going on at Salacious, but he wouldn't necessarily want to go to the other club. But is there a way maybe we could pop into the other club to see if maybe he's there, or if there's any other information to be gained from the club that's not Salacious?
Yeah.
That might be a way. I mean, it's always a hub of information. Like nightclubs tend to have lots of different people coming through. And maybe the people that don't go to Salacious because they can't afford it are a little bit less scrupulous. So, yeah.
Do you remember the name of that other club? Did they...
Normally I do. I think it's not it's not.
Oh no.
I think it's like delicious. So it's like salacious, but not. I think I could be wrong.
If the owner was really going to be the Pepsi to Salacious's Coke, that would be a great play on the thing.
Oh, Devil's Den.
That is not.
Devil's Den.
Yes. Do you remember their tagline?
Come have a hell of a good time at the Devil's Den. Yeah.
And there's a lot that could be said for that simplistic marketing.
But a woman who dresses as a nun may be there. Oh, sorry.
No? This is our shared space, and that's highly appropriate in this particular moment. That line of thought, that line of reasoning. Noticing the gossamer strands of one spider's web from another. Being able to immediately grasp threads hanging all about you before they entangle you. There's an understanding that that eventually even a spider might capture a line. And lies the dilemma here. One of the things that slipped by easily amidst all of the guff that Otto spewed and spews. Last night, as you, Anand, and Jacob were there with Otto at Salacious, as you all were leaving, he did impart that there was rumors, gossip floating around, that unlike a millennia of kindred, unlike the hundreds or so elders operating in the continental United States, Unlike the thousands of ancilla, Zimri has been the only caring kindred. The only kindred who miraculously cured a Malkavian's madness. Not mitigated it with tricks and traps and modern psychological means, but no, cured a Malkavian's madness. It went by unnoticed and dancing in the edge and periphery of all of that cloud of verbal BS that he spews. But as you are sitting here speaking with Dr. Fredrick, that rears its head as Dr. Fredrick makes the connection. A kindred masquerading as a nun, devil's den, it's a play, it's a pun, especially being as she dresses provocatively, otherwise outside of her nun's habit.
Well, Nan had paid attention to the fact that they were saying that Otto said that she cured him, but she also knew that to be bullshit because how do you can't cure somebody of something like that? You can only suppress
And
it.
therein lies the dilemma. A victim free of their yoke wouldn't know the difference between suppression and cure if they're unaffected by it. And bullshit or not, believed otherwise or not, if the gossip is making its round into the higher echelons of kindred society, not simply word on the street, deception becomes reality. Doing the impossible becomes all that you become known for. Eventually, everyone will take their shot at whoever is the most powerful, whoever is the most charismatic. Eventually, everyone will take their shot because you cannot be the man without first taking out the man.
So we should probably go by the devils then and see if our prey is potentially there or what we can find out about said prey. But I just want to run something past you really quick. Otto mentioned that this woman was able to cure the prince of their madness. Now, as far as I'm aware, that is impossible to do. You can't change a Malkavian very nature. That would be like taking the animal from the gangrel or taking the eyes of a Toreador.
Perhaps people are just... It is possible that people are mistaking being cured for, could be anything else, even a change in what the delusion could be, or perhaps they may just be having a very long bout of lucidity.
They could, but Zimri is being lauded with this change. So that is where some of the power is coming from. If we could potentially figure out how they've done it and undo it, or prove them a fake, then that would definitely help us do our work. Which is why, again, we need to figure out what drives them, what's behind them, what things they can and can't do. I just wanted to know your thoughts on this whole curing thing. But yeah, we should probably head out to the Devil's Den.
Again, as we're walking out the door, I say, again, I think the matter of curing whatever those poor Malkavians have is not a possibility. So this is in some way a deception.
It is, but it's how do we prove it? We know that's not true, but how do we make sure that others know it's not true, and that we're not the ones lying in this case? That's the important. And
Are you driving?
I was about to say, seeing as how Otto usually has left Anand with a copy of his credit card, she has it, and she has called them a ride.
Excellent.
Is weird. Most people wouldn't understand what it's like to go from your home and only to your destination. Usually, in most places, you get to dawdle. You get to lazily go to the gas station, maybe stop at the corner store or Walmart or wherever along your way. In most places, it's not about the destination, even though it is always about the destination, but along your route there, maybe even taking the scenic way to do it, you would run other errands. You would include other things that are on the way. You may even just leisurely stop simply because, oh, well, that's a new place. I haven't seen that place before. Let me go see what that's about. Not so in Gary. In Gary, it is door to door as often as possible. Not door to curb, not door to parking lot, not door to corner of the block and you make your way towards it. No, in Gary, it is 99.99% of the time, door to door. You leave your door to your car, to your destination, to the door, with very little dawdling, with very little leisurely pace. It is a to B transaction with the world at large, typically. Casino has brought money. Casino has brought people looking for that money, scrabbling for their additional 15 cents over their neighbors. The fact that the casino opened and quite a few of the individuals who work at and around the casino are not in fact Gary natives. Many of which are in fact the gig drivers, the Uber, Lyft, and other ride shares that operate typically locally, city-based, sometimes county-based. And so as the electric pink Prius arrives, there is a sinking suspicion that this is in fact not a native. The car isn't gray. It isn't predominantly all black. It isn't a deep dark color that easily disappears in the dark. No, it's a bright pink, easily trackable, easily viewable Prius. Says the college-age young woman who leans across the seat towards the passenger door, rolling the window down. Hi, are you guys the burgers?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm Dawn.
I slipped my arm.
I was born Denise.
Okay. I slipped my arm into the doctor's elbow and come, darling. Let's go out for our night of debauchery.
Yes, darling.
Anand
As
is
you all
well
get
aware
in,
of what we look like.
as you all get to the car, there's a troubling jangling of the nerves. And it's not for anything that anyone not from Gary would feel. But you all have lived and operated in Gary, well, it's in your blood. So when you get to the door, there's an instinctual wait and pause for you to hear the electric lock being untriggered for you to open the door. But as that few seconds go by, you don't hear that click, click, click of the lock unlocking. You perversely reach for the handle and it's unlocked. And something in your soul quivers at the idea of anyone in Gary driving a vehicle without all of the doors locked. It is the equivalent of covering yourself in blood-flavored steak sauce and hurling yourself into an unfed tiger and lion exhibit. It is soaking your underwear in kerosene, fire dancing. It is gargling with sulfuric acid. Foolishness. It's insanity.
As we get in, and once we've gotten in, I lock the door. Oh, just out of curiosity, how long have you been in Gary?
Oh, is that obvious? I came down about 3 weeks ago. It's been great. Everyone warned me that I would not like the southeast side, but it's lovely. I'm right, very close to the casino, and I get a lovely view of the lake and the airport. My neighbors even helped me move in.
My eyes go huge at that. Oh, that's lovely. I look at Fredrick next to me. Just as a native, I'm not going to tell you your business, but I would change your locks if I were you, and learn to start locking the door.
But then the building superintendent. Oh no! But then the building superintendent wouldn't be able to come and go as he needs.
Oh, sweetheart. Oh. You can always give them an extra key, but they're supposed to let you know when they need to get let in. They're not supposed to just come and go. They're supposed to give you 24 hours notice.
Oh, it's fine. He's a nice old man. Always has an extra coffee when he comes by, and sometimes we just sit and talk for hours. And somehow he's always like he times it perfectly. Like I'm just coming out of the shower. I don't have anything to hide. I'm not busy doing anything, and he'll be puttering around in the kitchen fixing the leaks or what have you, and we'll sit and talk for like hours. He's great. Lots of stories about something called the Outlaws. They were a motorcycle club back in the 60s or 70s, he said. Like forever ago. Oh my God. And he's got this great tattoo on his elbow. He said he liked Spider-Man as a little kid when it first came out. And so he got that tattoo on his elbow. He says he has it on both knees as well.
Anand is
And you don't meet too many people.
flabbergasted.
You don't meet too many people who like Pagliacci, and he has even the clown's tears on his right cheek. Great old guy. Tough as nails, though. I saw him lift a refrigerator by itself.
I lean over to Fredrick very quietly. I don't want to get attached, but I feel like somebody should be watching out for her.
You guys like music?
Very much.
This
Do
is
you have AM radio?
radio. Oh, I do have. Well, don't get funny. Don't think it's weird. But I heard about mixtape CDs. And so I was talking to my dad, because he's pretty old. Almost he's almost 42. No, 43 this year. Wow. But anyway, he's talking about when he was young, you all like people older, like you, and she points to you, Dr. Fredrick, used to make mixtape CDs. I don't know why you guys call them tape, but they would just make mixtape CDs. And so I was talking to him, and well, he made me a mixtape CD about his favorite band from when he was a kid, Baby Chorus, Baby Choir, or, I don't know. But the lead singer sounds so cool. You guys want to hear some of it?
Absolutely. Wouldn't you?
Very familiar with Baby Chorus. Yeah.
And she puts on a CD, honest to goodness, into a CD player, a Walkman side CD player sitting on the front seat that has an aux cord that goes into her phone that she Bluetooths to the car stereo. It is a late 80s meld of 90s, early 2000 post-pop punk with soul and slightly other influences. There's a few jazz notes you're picking up from the horn that dances through the songs. There's the very oddly placed but somehow harmonious violin that slides through. The guitar riffs are power ballad levels of involved and Satriani levels of cross chord progressions. It is inhumanly attractive to the ear, as are all of Baby Chorus's songs. And you've heard most of them from their several first albums and CDs, and they are collector's items in and of themselves. But this does not sound like old Baby Chorus. Baby Chorus hadn't played since the late 90s. And yet, you could hear a crowd in the background as if it was recorded at some stadium. And that's very much not Baby Chorus, at least not the Baby Chorus you know. But it sounds like this was recorded live somewhere in some stadium. You can hear the people singing along to the lead singer riffing and wailing, digging pain up from somewhere dark in the soul and presenting it for the masses to lap up. And yet, it's not a song you all recognize from the past of it.
I think Anand heard about the Milwaukee show, but she didn't get to go. So the songs aren't familiar, but the idea that they're playing live reminds her that there was a Milwaukee show like about a year ago.
And does she share that with everyone?
Oh my god, this must have been the Milwaukee show. I didn't get to go, but
No?
yeah, they did a Milwaukee command performance in Milwaukee. It was very exclusive, super private. You had to know somebody to get to fucking go. But yeah, that's why none of the songs sound familiar, because they just did all new shit.
Oh, that's a one of a kind then. How'd your father get that?
Well, not to brag, but my dad is a police commissioner in Chicago. Well,
You
he's
don't
on the
say.
fast track. Well, he's on the fast track. He's technically a chief of D's, is what they call it. But he's only 3 rungs from commissioner, and at his rate of climbing the ladder and doing that to the exclusion of the entirety of the family, he should be there like before the end of the year. They've already had 2 commissioners quit or get fired. I don't know. You know how Chicago is, all greed and
So he's
corruption.
moving to Chicago soon to be commissioner?
Oh no, I'm from Chicago.
Oh, sorry.
Well,
My apologies.
technically Chicago, but not really. Don't tell anybody. Like I'll lose all my street cred.
I am certainly pulling I feel like people my age probably carry around some scrap paper and something to write with every now and again. So I am putting down my phone number. And I say, I gotta say, that is quite fascinating. If you can get your father to burn another one of those CDs for us, we would love to buy one off of you at a later date.
Sure, of course. Like, yeah, cool. I'll let him know. I keep trying to tell him just to upload it to like a share file, but he's really like you, like old people, really secretive about nothing they need to be secretive about. I mean, geez.
There's just something nice about having a physical medium.
Yeah, it could corrode. It will get bad. Needless to say,
Weird to me that for a
Mhm.
Chicago girl that you still keep your doors unlocked. So that's just bothering.
oh, well, there's not really much crime in Berwyn. It's not like we're Cicero or ghetto Inglewood or anything. God. Like, I never had to lock my doors. Ever. And the one time I did, the door got stuck closed.
Anon just kind of nods. She's not going to keep trying to save this one. She doesn't. This one doesn't want to be saved.
Well,
Also, also, we could definitely use a ride some other night as well. So, yeah.
I mean, of course, like that's what I do. Like, I'm pretty good at this. Now, normally, here's the thing. You all have lived, again, in and around Gary long enough to know approximately how long travel time should take. It's an instinctual thing. You have a rough idea in your head. And it should have taken about 10 minutes. You're coming up on 15 because she took you from your address on Broadway, the college campus. She went south on Broadway, cross Ridge, and onto 65. Follow that around and up 65, and is moving in the right direction. But you realize that she made a small error onto 94. There, just across the river. Instead of staying to the left and moving past the interchange, because she was keeping to the speed limit in the right lane, she followed that ramp around and off and on to 94. And it's an honest mistake, because there at that particular interchange is not so much of a clover leaf. It is an absolute garbled mess of interlaced, overwoven octopus arms tied together into a ponytail. So your particular lane determines where you are automatically going to exit. Luckily for you all, you get in too far to the left to merge onto the 94, moving west towards Chicago. Instead, you're moving further east, and, well, she caught her mistake at the next interchange, which luckily for you all is in fact a cloverleaf. Though it's a cloverleaf that moves anti-alias to your route of travel, causing you to cross from the 94 onto the 90 to have to fight to merge back onto the 94 to get back in west so that you can get back to 65. And you all know that it only gets worse, because following northbound to 65, there is another equally confusing morass of interwoven expressway changes. 65 there, just north of Central, there's the interchange that merges with the 90 and the 20, which is kind of where you guys need to go off of the 20 there. But still, to get to the 20, if you're not paying attention, you will definitively merge onto the 90 and have to find your way back around, hopefully, to get to the 20. One thing you all have going for you is that, unlike metered cabs, it's not by the mile. It is for trip. And so the cost is the cost. And yet, a 10-minute drive, ordering right on double that. Especially being as you all know, she didn't have to get on the expressway. You could have took Broadway north instead of south and taken that on to 5th, which merges onto the 20 automatically. 5th becomes the 20 once you pass the ramps and merge interlaced ramps onto the 90. But just staying on 20, you cut through most of the BS. You have the opportunity of never having to deal with the interchange.
Okay.
Um,
How much longer till we get there? It feels like we're going a bit farther than we asked to, maybe.
Oh no, it was just a traffic. This is a shortcut.
Okay.
Anand gives her a very pointed look through the rearview mirror with the brow raise.
We're almost there. It's just that um right here as we're coming up on just past the 90 here. There's well, your address is on the north side of the street. It's yeah, it's over there. I'm gonna have to figure out how to um merge make this left turn here. I don't do too good with crossing major intersections like this. Um, so bear with me. Yeah, just just a little patient. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, I'm sorry. Just hang on. We're gonna and with a little error and a lot of trial, she actually gets you guys there. The travel time is roughly twice as long as it should have been. Luckily, you all caught on and spoke up in enough time that she focused in on completing her fare. Her newness to the area is obvious. The mistake with the interchanges is something that happens far too often, even for locals if they're not paying attention, especially at night. Yeah, it's not something that should have been made, that should have happened. There's a difference between being a resident, being a local, and being a native. And while she resides here, she is neither local nor a native. And as you race to a stop in front of the Devil's Den, a monochromatically gray building. There's not very much about it. It seems like, well, a den for devils. It looks plain, unassuming. The grasses, the wild grass and shrubbery at the edges of the property look overgrown and, well, wild. Almost as if they are purposely done as a camouflage. Power lines in the distance. While you know you can't hear the vibration of the electric pulsing through them, it's hard to not see it. It's hard to not imagine yourself hearing it. Because the entire south portion of the property, where the wild grass and shrubs grow as a blind to the building, there are nothing but rows and rows and fields of electric towers. The blinds flying through them, making a spider's web across the sky, across the horizon line there, just to the south of the building. The building itself, again, monochromatically grayed and shades and hues of gray. Everything from eggshell gray to charcoal nearly black, melding and blending together so that it is a easily missed building. Unlike most clubs, most public places and venues of entertainment and public spectacle, there aren't any huge glaring neon signs. There aren't 101 different high-powered lights in what serves as the parking lot. In fact, if you're not mistaken, this portion of the road that you're on isn't serviced by the city. It's overgrown. There are weeds popping through various places in the pavement. And yet, the parking lot is fucking filled. There are F-150s, Chevy Impalas from nearly every epoch of modern social gathering. There are Ford Caprice classics that used to be used by the police as unmarked vehicles. There's some Crown Vics, there's some Buick LeSabres, there are a wide variety of makes and models of domestic vehicles. Filling the parking lot. And adding injury to insult, there are about 8 or 9 rat bikes parked so very close to the building, adding to the ambiance. In short, it is the antithesis to the parking lot at Salacious. And you're pretty sure that they don't have their own livery service to ferry high-paying regulars to and fro.
Mom kind of just like fluffs her hair a bit. And against her better judgment, does not turn around and compel old girl to be safe and listen about locking the damn doors. She wants to real bad, but they have things to do.
It doesn't give in to that urge to drive her to be safe. Some battles are won majoring it all. Others are not bothering.
I mean, if we were saving all the little innocent humans, we gotta start here. You save one, you gotta start saving them all.
Yes. Yes.
Look, if we were Sandman, we would be salivating at her lifestyle, her level of trust.
You very well could be. Like understanding and knowing where your victims are. Oh, you could even have her take you home. A little push of your abilities coercing her, especially someone so open, honest, trusting in the penis of their fellow man. It would be child's play.
Plus, if we can work this angle, and I'm assuming like you're already out of the car, leaving. I'm saying this quietly so the driver couldn't hear us. I really hope she contacts me so we can get an in on the chief of police of Chicago. You never know how useful that could be.
Well, it could be interesting to know different people, yeah. It's always helpful to make friends.
Indeed. All right.
You all get towards the door, moving around towards the front of the Devil's Den. The entire thing is gray on gray on gray on gray. There's wood paneling, there's brick. It is a monstrously dark building. If you didn't know it was here, you could easily and would easily miss it, especially being as close as you all are to the building itself, to the facade. There aren't any neons. There aren't any hanging lights. There aren't any dome lights attracting the bugs. It's a gray brick of a thing. Its roof slants the wrong fucking way. It slants in towards the middle of the building. You can see the downspouts here and there, but God, there's something about that cantilevered reverse peaked roof that causes some part of the brain to sweat. Like, this isn't normal. Now, there are, of course, those style of roofs all over the world. But here in the Midwest, where the snow piles as high as the hopes and dreams for warmth, that seems like a bad thing waiting to happen. Even though you all aren't homeowners, you familiarize yourselves with the scam of those who come along every couple of months offering work on the roof. Oh, we'll give you a brand new tear off. We just gotta, go through the insurance. We don't want you to pay anything out of pocket. There is a down payment up front, but you can pay a percentage of that, and then the insurance can pay the other percentage. And so they bring people to take your deposit, and they get started and get you all the insurance papers, and then they leave you with an unfinished roof, or worse, a shoddily put together rushed roof. Sometimes with more holes than they patch. And then you never see them again. Now you're actually looking for a roofer. Well, you went with them because it was the best deal going, and you had the opportunity of getting a all new roof from your insurance company, or you get a chance to get an all new solar panel for your roof, which will offset your energy costs. It'll pay for itself in just a few months. Well, what are you paying for your kilowatt hours? There's just something about it that makes the mind sweat, especially as you move toward the front. You catch a small glimpse of the unit on the roof, a unit that is oversized for this building. You all don't know HVAC and couldn't care less about it, but you know what you are expecting to see on the roof of a building about this size. And that son of a bitch is about 4 times too fucking large on a roof that, well, barely quantifies as a roof in your estimation. Opening the door, you're taken back in time to an adult entertainment club from the late 60s. There's honest to goodness shag carpeting at places on the floor. There are private banquets in the round at several places on the floor. The stage is literally a catwalk. Red velvet curtains and floodlights from days of yore. You're hoping that flickering flame-like light and illuminating is from an electronic source, but you can't be too sure because the place is warm. Kindred levels of warmth when you step inside. And sitting by the door is a rotund, massively so, body of a former football player going to seed and working his way back to strength. And he looks at you both and sighs in the May Decemberness of it all. IDs, please.
Anand.
I pull out my ID.
And before he looks, for those of us who don't have the opportunity of looking at your identification, is it an actual ID from the modern era?
I would think a
It
non
is,
should be.
Yes.
I believe so.
So he looks at the IDs in the most cursory of manners. Looks again. Then looks at you both. And looks again, and you can see the wheels turning. Oh, ladies get in free. Guys pay $50.
Is there a issue?
No, ladies get in free. Guys pay $50.
Very well.
He hands you your ID back, takes the money, slips it into his pocket. All right, go ahead on in.
As we get slowly enough away from him. Don't worry, I'll give you it back. I got you. I'll give it back. That's a little weird. I haven't been here in a while. He wasn't here the last time I was here.
I mean, I do look pretty good for 80.
And it gets worse. You all moving towards the bar, or are you looking for a table?
Well, it really depends on how crowded the bar is. Like, are there seats there, or are people kind of just hovering there waiting for a seat to be vacant before sitting down?
There aren't any seats at the bar. It's standing room, elbow to elbow in some places, and less so in others. You see a wide selection of blazers and members only jackets and battle vests and uniform jackets from various companies, and you see athleisure full on matchy sweatsuits. You see headbands and ball caps and mohawks and dreads. You see long, wispy, sweaty, unwashed hair. You see it is a melting pot of individuals you would not expect to see in the same place at the same time. It very much seems as if it's the setup of a joke. All right, so this biker, this doctor, and the lawyer walk into a bar situation. It very much feels as if you've somehow stepped into the real world equivalent of the cantina from Star Wars. The only thing that's missing is the music.
All right, let's go get yourselves a seat. And that gives us a good excuse to have our head on a swivel, scanning the room for a table.
The only problem with that is if you sit at a table, you have to be able to tip. So we're gonna need to take out a little cash if we
Oh.
do that.
Let's go to the bar.
It's to the bar so that we can get cash back.
Yes, get some cash back. Unless this is a cash only establishment.
You'd expect as such. But with the prevalence of the cube and spot pay, no, not so much.
Oh, wonderful.
It doesn't take long to be acclimated to the temperature or the vibe of the socialization going on. There are pockets of associates, and there's pockets of people who recognize each other from the bar life as a whole, and here in specific. And while that's happening, there's a strangely tasteful pose off happening on the stage, i.e., the runway.
I think Otto would have really loved
He's a little hard to peg sometimes. He really likes like the upper crust. He likes feeling like he's super special. So maybe this wouldn't be his thing, but I'm perfectly fine here. This is like entertaining to me. Um, Anand having been here not recently, but in the past, she's looking for the redheaded guy that she knows is like usually in charge of this place.
it. I still look out of place.
I pull
Yeah, he's
a
wearing a full-on suit.
couple like college professor looking guys. No, what about those guys?
Here comes the most important question of your evening. Are either of you all blushed?
I would think.
Now that you mentioned it, I think that would pop to mind. So I'm going to go ahead and roll for that. So I guess people are going to see my pale face become a little bit more rosy.
Exactly as would happen if you had gone too far into your cups.
Well, I'll definitely roll for it, but I know Anand, with her walking around the college campus, usually blushes.
He does.
I mean, how necessary is blushing?
This is a good question. How important do you think it is?
If someone's touching me, it would be useful for some warmth. And I assume here there may be some impromptu contact.
You think so?
Possibly.
So, as you all are camouflaged to blend in with the mortal masses, it makes it so that any kindred who doesn't know you specifically might not realize that you are a member of the damned. It also makes it so that you are overlooked as something out of the ordinary. People don't make excuses in their mind, so it allows you to blend in more with the herd of kind all around you. And as you all sit, not only not nursing your drink, literally not drinking it at all, you overhear the conversation of, "You're not sure, huh?" But she and he and they are talking hurriedly and hushed amongst themselves about full dead, man. Yeah, no, well, this since we got a fucking prison up here and we are getting pushed to the side. Yeah, but at least they don't have an actual scourge this time. It's better, much better than Chicago, better than years. Remember how it was under Modius? Yeah, but Modius is gone, Juggler's gone, and now we got Prince Maxwell. Maybe we should. I don't know. You have rights and protections, like if we get naturalized. No, I'm fucking getting burned for nobody, man. They put a brand on you like a fucking piece of
Can I glance around the room in like a very nonchalant way to uh see, like kind of just like hone down who is speaking? I don't
Yes.
want to alert them that I'm listening in, but I want to be able to peg them, like as like yes, that's the person.
So you want to peg them? Ooh, you're dirty. Yeah, it's the triptych, the trio of folks, about 8 feet from you, 9 feet, not quite 10. The bar's not quite that spacious for everyone to be grouped up that far apart.
Okay.
Going on and on. Look, dude, if the full dead are really that bad, then Zimri wouldn't have healed me. What the fuck you mean? Well, you remember last week when we snuck into Salacious? Well, yeah, fucking best night of my life. Well, I was leaving. And honest to goodness, well, with too much time and not as much money as they wanted to, fucking tried to rob me. The fuck out of here. I Salacious? Yeah. Kicked the ever loving shit out of me, the three of them. And then the rich asshole tells me to strip and give him everything I got. So you know what time I thought it was. And I'm okay with giving, a blowy or maybe a handy, but no, I'm not giving you everything. Because they shoot me.
Anand is
Yeah, but
scandalized.
dude, you're already fucking dead. Yeah. That's the reason why they shoot me. And I don't fucking die. So, no, I was pretty fucking close. And Zimri found me. And I'm here with you now, literally, because she healed me. There was no way I was gonna make it back to my flat and get out of the sun in time. If not for her, man, I what would I do? I wouldn't be able to do anything. I'd be a ghost or worse. Dude, you're making this shit up. Just drink some more. Shut the fuck up.
I kind of look a little bit wide-eyed at Anand and kind of just tap my forehead very briefly. There's a little bit of code.
Mm-hmm. She nods, and brings the cup, the glass to her lips, and like pretends to take a drink, and just like, I got you. I understand. Did we figure out what direction it was coming from?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've spotted them. Sorry, nobody. You could describe it. I'm sorry.
As you all are discussing amongst yourselves and looking at at least one thin blood, and you hope more, because if it's just one talking to his friends, then there's no fucking such thing as the masquerade as far as they're concerned. Hopefully they're all thin bloods or dead, but who could tell at this distance, at this lighting level, at this, well, yeah, there's only really one, maybe two ways to find out. And as you all are contemplating whether it's worth finding out if the guy who said that Zimri healed him is breaking the masquerade or not, Belial steps out onto the stage. The owner, the manager, the operator, the builder and envisioner of what Devil's Den is, steps out onto the runway, the stage area, clapping his hands together and holding them in a sign of thanks as he's shaking them gently before his face, dressed in his all too not quite tailored three-piece suit. The collar open, his leering mug smiling out into the dark at everyone. Oh, you all are here for a good time and don't want me to be taking all your time gabbing away. Some of you know me. Some of you wish to. And the others, well, you don't know me and I don't know you, and there's no reason for us to understand each other. Just know that you are taking part in my hospitality. And you're welcome. The Devil's Den would like to thank you all for being here, adding to the ambiance, adding to the environment, giving us your hard-earned cash, and enjoying the ladies, the gentlemen, the he-theys, the she-theys, and all steps in between. And I'd like to put it in for you for one night only. The one, the only, the indefatigable Shelza, mistress of pleasure. And as he backs off the stage, the lighting dims, and you realize that yes, those are not actual flames, even though they mimic that style of lighting. Moving out into the center of the stage is a clearly East Indian or native person. Their long, dark hair dyed a veritable rainbow of greenish, teal, turquoise blues. Not in a way that stands out and makes it look electric, but no, as the light touches it, you can see the slight different variations, and her hair is not, in fact, as dark as it seems. It is mixed with color, and there's hidden vibrancy there. And she's decked out in earrings that hang and dangle, and you're sure help her keep time, because as she moves her head and she begins her dance down catwalk, down the stage, they jingle and they jangle with the metal bracelets on her left wrist keeping time, and the metal bracelets on her right wrist setting the backing beat. And as she dances and moves in ways that flesh simply shouldn't, it is as if she is a mood given flesh. It is as if she took someone's feelings as the costume of her identity. And she's keeping time to the music and making her own music. She comes, and you can tell that this is not an acrobatic, highly athletic stripping of anything. This isn't the haughty pose off that was in place, the walk off that was actually happening. This is something else. And would you all be so kind as to go ahead and roll your resolve plus composure as high as you can, as the magic of the moment, because that's what it is. Your feelings, the ghost of them that were down there in your chest, down there in your stomach, those feelings that no longer come naturally to you because of your dead state, begin to well up, begin to grow anew. Those parts of you that you're able to mimic, those parts of you that you're able to pantomime when the time is right to seem more alive than you actually are. Those places, those long dead grasses and seeds, the plains of your heart begin springing forth, budding and growing flower, ripening and bearing fruit. And it is Dr. Fredrick. Absolutely fucking unsettling. It feels like you're having a panic attack. You're not alive. You should not be privy to having a panic attack. But the fact that you realize that you're feeling naturally, that you are feeling of yourself, this is not an affectation. This is not something that was brought on. These are things that are bombarding and cascading through you. And it's unsettling. It's like someone came and just threw a handful of seeds overnight. Bamboo shoots growing through the center of you. They're threatening to burst free of you at any moment. Luckily, your training, your education, your general state of being pushes back against that magic and keeps it from exploding out of you. But just barely so. Your sense of self holds it at bay just enough for there to be the impossibility, a thin sheen of a tinged sweat develop on your upper brow, your lower back. There's a little perspiration from underneath your arms. And you can feel a coolness that denotes moisture on your scalp. The sort of sweat you did or do before dancing, the sort of sweat you did or do before actually connecting with someone that matters. The sort of sweating that you do when you have to stand in front of a room full of people and unburden your soul. The sort of sweat that makes heroes of cowards and villains of those too brave to understand what it is that they are feeling, let alone give in to it. You've seen better strip shows. And yeah, this is not a strip show. You kind of wish that it was. She's got a great form. She's tall and clearly gifted in that classical dance sort of way. She's a little bottom heavy. She's a little avant-garde in her presentation. If this was a strip show, but you've seen better. You're not quite pulled into the theater of it all. And yet, credit where credit's due. She's good. Yeah, okay, fine. She's good. But if you're on a budget, so is every McDonald's burger you've ever eaten.
Yeah, and I'm glancing, but then like looking for where Belial might have gone, or like kind of like watching those guys that they were overhearing talking, seeing what they're up to. Like, are they as drawn in as other people are, or are they more like me and not as affected?
95% of the room is having a hard time taking their eyes off Shelza. 95% of the room, including the staff, is awestruck. She holds the eyes, she teases and scintillates, and she's good. You've seen better. There was that one girl and her partner who used each other as the base as they climbed an invisible rope. One would go up and the other would balance themselves so precariously they could lean all the way back, only held by that one foot and that one leg in space. And they wore those beautiful, you're not sure if they're called unitards or leotards or whatever it was that they were wearing that was form-fitting, that showed off their curves and showed off their strength and musculature without overdoing it. It wasn't grotesque. It wasn't like those bodybuilders or anything like that. But they were clearly in shape and were able to hold each other aloft. Just one person, not like those pyramids that the cheerleaders do. No, just one person holding another, both professionally and emotionally. The outpouring that they had for each other, there was clearly something going on between those two, and yet they were able to express it so gently, and it stayed with you. This, you'll probably forget exactly what she's doing and what steps she's taking. The fact that she's good doesn't quite cut the mustard in this particular moment.
But the fact that everybody's eyes are on her also means that if I were to move around at all, I would catch attention because I'm the only one not fixated, or one of the only ones not fixated.
Yes.
I lean over to Fredrick and kind of tap his arm. You okay over there?
Uh, um, it's just a lot. Um, quite the sensations.
I mean, if you say so, but yeah.
It's quite unpleasant.
Oh, I mean, again, I don't really feel that way, but it's all right.
Yeah. All right is all right, but there is the fact that there is clearly something afoot here that most would not ever expect. Especially the level of talent necessary to pull this off in a way that could be excused. The level of skill where this level of interaction, so privately moving, could be allowed publicly, and it wasn't all over social media. It wasn't all over the college campus. It's not all over the city. Devil's Den, they advertise. They are out there in the public. If something like this was happening here on a more consistent basis, there is no, unless of course it's purposeful, best kept secret ever. No one has their phone out because they're enthralled. No one's trying to multitask and listen to their own soundtrack, or sitting with headphones on and recording the sound around them. No one is holding up their phone as if it's a torch or as a lighter. Everyone's caught up in the rapture. Everyone's, even those not as intimately affected, caught up in the skill on display. All too abruptly. The show's over. The lights come back up. The stage lies empty and vacant. And while for most, it's a before and after, and it takes them a few moments to come back to themselves, for their mind to fill in the gaps, happened. No one knows exactly what happened. That was a great bit of theater, but the truth is oftentimes, most times, far less magical than that. You witnessed the speed of heightened, blooded kindred, in effect. Because as the music ended, she stopped moving, the lights went completely black, and she was gone. There's only, well, you've seen Hestia move that fast. And you've seen Damien in combat against a mouthing off Kindred move that fast. There's nothing living that can move that fast. So their minds, for them, don't ever make that connection. Whereas for you, it's obvious.
I softly muttered to myself, fucking kindred tricks. I lean over to Fredrick Lee. How about this? We pretend that those people over there are of interest to us, and we might want to invite them for some fun and maybe send them a drink to get them to come over to us so that we can talk.
The ones that were talking about being healed.
Yes.
Okay.
So, do I flag down like a server, or do I have to go back to the bar?
Well, you guys are at the bar, so there's that.
Okay. I thought we had moved to a table, but okay. We went to the bar to get money, and then we were gonna go sit, but we're still at the bar. Okay. I tell Fredrick if he can to find us a table, and then I ask the server or the bartender to send those two guys whatever they're drinking on us, and then point to the table that Fredrick is going to get.
Drinks, free anything. Is always a deal that most people can never pass up. And it's clear that these individuals are alive enough that they're not pantomiming their drinks. They're actually drinking. Imbibing. Their glasses emptying and being refilled is proof enough for that. As they come over, introducing themselves. Hey, how's it going? This is Eric. That's Steve. That's Puncharelli. Thanks for the drinks. Now, normally, when people send drinks, they're expecting a little put out. We're not cheap. We don't fuck on the first drink. But I'm sure we could find a way to help you and your sugar daddy get whatever you all need out of the evening. And as they say that, they meet your eyes and making themselves look as sexy as possible, which is a little difficult when you're, a little portly. A little more difficult when, unlike most men born in the late 70s and early 80s, instead of shaving their hair like Michael Jordan, letting the horseshoe George Jefferson style hair just rock itself. It's not easy being perceived as sexy, no matter how well-intentioned you might be, when, you can stand to put on an additional 75 pounds to look non-emaciated. But they tried. They give it a good college try. They give a good college effort. As you all consider them up close and personal, it is 5 after the hour. And I'd like to thank you all for a lovely episode. I'll see you guys next week. Good night, everybody.
It's just my luck. I tend to like older men, quote unquote. Good night.
Good night.
Have a good night.